Welcome to Grit Happens. I'm Mindy Stearns. Well, to know him is to love him. He's a CEO, an entrepreneur, an outlier, overcomer, storyteller, visionary, victor, mentor, doctor, father, brother, underdog. I know you love that doctor part. And he's my husband. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Stearns, and you are listening to Grit Happens.
Hey, you still have to read that, huh? You don't have it memorized all these times.
No, I do have to read it. I've had so many things going on. I can't remember all your titles.
That is
God.
just embarrassing. My own
Okay,
wife.
tell me if you can say it. All right, go ahead. Run it down.
I am a mentor, a doctor,
1, 2,
a father,
okay,
a brother,
okay.
a lover.
Oh, geez, I didn't put that in there. Sorry.
Oh,
Well, okay, welcome to another installment of Grit Happens. You know, oftentimes we have guests in here in studio. We talk about stories of grit and overcoming grit and how grit has helped people persevere through life and, you know, just the stories of success and how one navigates that landscape. And we thought we'd just the two of us today talk about something else I thought that is which we're trying to create in a new workspace.
What's that?
Is positivity in the workplace.
Oh, that's a new one on you?
Yeah. Well, no, it's not on me. You find Kind Lending is our company.
I'm joking, dear.
Yes, I know. Look at you. You're so cute.
I'm joking.
So, you know, it's a world where we've been through a year of real angst, I think, and it's been also a very divisive year, and it's been a year of a lot of hostility and sad things happening, and you know, things in the news and local, and
you will find what you want to.
You will find what you're looking for, really.
Right. Exactly.
And if you go to the news and you're looking for the worst
There's
news
been
of the day,
a lot of positivity. There's been a lot of happiness. There's been a lot of great things. Think about all the families that have come together. Think about all the time we've been able to spend together that we normally wouldn't spend together. Think about being able to take a break from going and traveling all the time and all the crazy things that keep us from our families.
I've actually really, really enjoyed.
I know you have.
Not packing.
Exactly. No, it's a
I've
great
enjoyed this year.
Time to just realize that some of these other things we've done are just not that important. And so, you know, I've gotten, you know, again, we can't knock the fact that there have been so many people that have been out of work and all the terrible things that have happened to people.
Yeah.
But you got to choose, you know, where do you want to sit? You want to sit in, you know, in a place of despair. You want to sit in a place of positivity.
Optimism. You've always been a pretty positive person. You know, it's not saying that you don't get down on things and you don't get frustrated and angry, but you really find yourself back to a place of optimistic outlook. And I think it's interesting. Your sister actually accused you when she was young, and you guys had a little row about that. Explain that.
She said that I could not be as positive as I come across, that I must be faking it because nobody can live in a world that's always up here. And I explained to her, I said, you know what, that's interesting you would say that. I said, how do you feel about people that have clinically had some kind of, you know,
trauma
chemical imbalance in their life, and they are depressed and they're always down here? She goes, well, that's obvious. I mean, there's, you know, clinical scientific proof that people can be imbalanced and they can live their life down here. I said, well, maybe I'm clinically and chemically imbalanced and I just happen to live up here. I said, I'll take it, right? I mean, I don't know why that my life seems to be a place full of a lot of joy all the time, but I'm not going to sit and try to rip it apart and figure it out why it goes that way. So she thought about that one for a while, and I think she understood.
Can you be chemically imbalanced to be happy? Like there are chemical imbalances, depression, but can you be chemically imbalanced to be joyful? Or is it a choice?
I might have been not joking, but making a point to her, because a lot of it, I think, no matter what, is your attitude, and it is, you know, a place that you need to figure out on your own, where do you want to sit. And what I mean is, if you sit in and sometimes you'll do this, and I'm not knocking because you're
You
a
can
very
knock
happy
me.
person.
But I lament a lot.
Yeah, you'll sit, and if there's a sad subject, you will like keep reading it, and I'll say, why do you want to keep staying sad over this? Just stop getting it in your brain, because it's only making you sad. When you see some poor family that gets in a car wreck or whatever, you'll just like read it over and over and over again.
I think that's maybe there's this draw as an empathetic person who goes deep into the pain that other people are feeling, and I really like walk in that space and want to really feel how they feel, and I do go deep into that, and sometimes I don't know, I guess I like it there because it makes me feel alive, it makes me feel like a human, it makes me feel like I'm caring for others.
I get it, and I absolutely love to get inside of someone else's head to understand their perception of the world, right? Because then I can deal with it better on why they react and why they act the way they do. I don't want to wallow in their pain,
right?
I don't want to wallow in my own pain. So, I just choose to try to figure out ways to stay in the happy zone as much as possible. And when I do find myself in that place, you go, okay, I'm there. It's time to get out of there. Think of something better, different.
How much do you think positivity and happiness is a choice, or what do you think?
I think it's a definite choice. Again, there are times, and I can remember very clearly where things don't go your way. You're going through a divorce, your business is crashing, the world is just caving in, and there's a lot of times when people can't find their happy place, right? And that is not a choice. That's just a reality. You're getting foreclosed on. All kinds of things can happen to you that put that added stress on. And what I think you have to learn is, just like what happened with the in the Holocaust, or just like what happened to Nando Parado and those guys up in Chile or wherever it was in the mountain. Remember the
Andes, the soccer team?
Yeah, the soccer team. That it's a matter of saying, one day I will be out of this mess that I'm in. It's not about I'll be out next Tuesday or I'll be out next month. It's because when you put a timeline on it, and it gets past that, you get in a bigger depression because you think, well, they blew that. But if we just understand that we are not in control of the time, we are in control of the emotion, right?
Right.
That we
can
choose
then get your
through
reaction.
Exactly. So, I do believe that it is an obvious. I mean, not obvious, but it is a. What was the question again? Because I can't remember the word.
I said, do you think happiness is a choice?
Happiness. Did you say happiness?
Happiness, positivity.
Positivity, happiness. Okay, same thing. Yes, again, I do, but again, I think it's the long game, right? Sometimes you can't get out of it. Hey, I'm going to be happy today when somebody just passed away, or you just lost your home, or whatever happens. No, but can you be happy in your life in the long run? There's always dips, big dips sometimes, and you just got to realize, okay, I'm in my, kind of little moment, and I need to get out of it. It might take me a day, a week, a year, but I'm going to get out of it.
You know what? I think what I've heard and what I've learned is that you can be upset, you can be angry. Like, you should feel anger, you should feel frustrated, you should feel sad. But if you staying there is a choice.
Right.
Like, you can, and I even read somewhere here that I was looking like, can you choose happiness? And there's this article that even says, like, really, most here, I want to read this because I thought this was interesting, and I think a lot of people might go against this because they think, oh no, you can't. If you're depressed, you're depressed. That's one thing. But it says it doesn't happen that quickly, but most therapists won't dare tell a client who faces depression that true salvation can only come from within, through an irreversible decision plus the strenuous force of will to get better, which is why clients can spend 5 years in therapy and still be angry about their childhood. Like, there are, the argument is, there are imbalances in chemicals. I understand hormones that can really send you into a dark funk. As a woman, boy, we deal with hormones all the time. But there is a point when you are, medically balanced that if you still are struggling, it takes a deep look inside to grab onto something that says, I want to be better. I want to be happier. And then whatever work it takes to get to that place. Don't you think?
I have been in arguments with you, and I have decided to hang on to it and continue to fight it out.
Yes, he's like a dog on a bone.
And then there have been times when I said, okay, you're right. I'm sorry. And, I found that, usually that worked a lot better because I got through it faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to hold on to being angry about your childhood for 20, 30 years, why can't you just say, hey, you know what? It's made me who I am. I get to learn a lot from it and move on faster. If you do that, you're probably going to be a lot happier, right? But if you're going to hold on to it for 20 or 30 years, I believe it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so, realize, hey, you can't do anything about the past. The past is the past, man. So just move on and let's create our
future.
Let's create the new past. Right.
You got the pen. It's not a pencil. You can't erase what's happened, but you can rewrite or the next chapter. You can write the next phase.
Right.
I once heard someone say that basically anything after 18, you have to be on your own. You can't blame your parents. Like there's a point where your parents did the best they could with what they had. And if they knew better, they would have done better. And if they knew better and didn't do better, they just didn't have the education or tools to put those things into place. So you really you're mad at your parents for your childhood. You're mad at what happened to them. You're mad at your uncles or your families or someone did something to you. At 18, you're an adult. And at that point is when you say, I have a choice. I can look ahead. I can move forward. I can choose the next phase, and you can say, that does not define me. It may be part of my story, but it does not define the next chapter. Like we talked with these children at Horatio Alger, these students who have been through the worst adversity. I mean, these kids have been through their parents murdered in front of them, drug abuse, pregnancy, abuse, abandonment, parents incarcerated. I mean, you can't even, the stories you can't even believe. And these kids have chosen somehow, maybe it's their makeup, maybe it's some mentor, and maybe someone along the way said, they have chosen to not be a victim of that circumstance. And they see education as a way out.
To be the victor.
And that is a choice. Everyone has a choice to be a victor, not a victim. Victim is a choice. Now, you can argue that a child who is raped or murdered or killed, they are a victim. A child doesn't have the wherewithal or the strength or the protection. There are, arguments for victim. That's a different definition.
But you're saying once you get older, then you choose to either
how do you live the life from the things that have happened to you?
Right. If you're surrounded by people that are also victims that map you to continue to live in that cycle of being blaming the world, then you're not going to have a lot of good examples in your life. And so how do they know, right? And so I think you do need a good mentor in your life, someone that can show you that you don't have to live in the past, you don't have to blame other people for where you are today. We can't pick our parents, right? So but now that you are an adult and you do get out on your own, you can choose to change that life, right? Mm-hmm. So I agree with you, but I don't think it's as easy as it sounds for people that don't have a very good roadmap, because they're just stuck in that cycle, and it's hard. But that's why we love Horatio Alger, because somehow those kids have decided that I'm going to break the cycle. I don't like and don't want to live the way my family have lived in the past. So that's why, obviously, you and I are big fans of that organization, obviously.
So what do you say to someone who feels like they are in a situation that is so grim and dark, and they're trying their attitude, they're trying to change it, but it's just not, they can't get out?
This too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
And just realize that if you are in a bad situation, that like anything else, you'll get through it. Just time heals all wounds.
You've also said tough times pass. No, tough times. What was it? Tough times pass, tough people last. What was the phrasing? Tough
times
never
don't
last, but
tough people do. Right.
Okay.
You got it.
Tough times never last, but tough people do.
Right. And it's anyway, we're repeating the same thing because it's just about really an attitude, right? It's about having a life of positivity and realizing, do you want to live in the basement or do you want to be up there with the balcony people? And we've obviously talked about that a lot too. So
that goes around with the whole thing you hear that you are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And that, I mean, if your life isn't going where you want it to be, take a look at who are your 5 most influential people in your life, your friends, who are the closest to you and how do they live? Then you can see maybe that's where your life is going.
That's right.
Would you say?
So now let's bring this around more to business for a second, if you don't mind. All right. So
that's where we wanted to go. We're just laying the groundwork.
And so when we set out to start Kind Lending, the idea was, instead of looking at this as this big business problem, and I don't mean problem, but I mean,
deficit?
No, like a puzzle. It was, let's look at the people that work inside. And if we work on them, if we get the best of the best in the industry, they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So we know that they can create what we need. But can we get their mind right? And all of us row and all of us head in the same direction. And that starts with joy, happiness, and having a positive outlook, right? If we take a look at, if we focus on people and we decide that we are going to take an organization and only look inward, right? And you think that's terrible. You're not thinking about the customer. Well, everybody that works in our company has a job, and that is to take care of the customer. But what about us as the owners, right? Let's take care of the inside people, and they'll take care of the outside people. So by looking and I look at a lot of other organizations, and we've learned from the past where some of these big
corporate
groups say, well, we know what's best, so we will push that down. Mm-hmm. And then, by the way, I live in this glass tower, and I don't go out and I don't talk to customers and all that because that's not my job. Mm-hmm. Or you can look at it like, I want to help you and make your life more fulfilled so you can get out into the world and help the customer. And I'm even willing to go out there with you and help do whatever it takes. Then you find people that go, wow, they really care. Mm-hmm. And when people really care, then you're really willing to give it your all and put your heart into it. And the next thing you know what? I'm going to help. It's a Saturday. I'm willing to help. It's a Friday night at 8:00, whatever it takes. And all of a sudden, this organization seeps into everybody's life where now it's part of their life because there's joy and there's happiness. And now the customer in the end gets treated so much better because people are there past 5. They care. They're going to do something that normally, well, I'm sorry, we're going to have to wait till Monday. You know what? I'm going to come in over the weekend and I'm going to get that done for you. And it all works. And it's so funny. We're talking about this like this is a secret, right? Because for some reason, we have been able to do this. And that's why there's so much magic in our company. But it's not a secret. It's just other people don't feel the same way. Or they can talk the talk, they just don't walk the walk, right? With you being the chief kindness officer, and with us having that fun of, the light levity of you used to being the chief happiness officer, you sleeping with the boss, the chief ho.
Chief ho.
Yeah.
Now I'm the CKO, knock you out with kindness. No.
I don't know about that one.
What? But KO is a knockout.
Don't I get it. That? I get it. Like it. Okay.
Took him a second. I've only been saying this for a year.
I know. It's a it's just anyway, I love what we do. I love the people. When we were looking out there at the industry that, in the mortgage banking world, there's been so many people that have been moving because there's such a high demand. And so what did you get? You got so many people trading companies. Hey, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to get an extra $25,000 signing bonus. I'm going to get a bigger job. And that's good for the employee because the demand was there and they get to work and get paid better for their families. But
make hay while the sun is shining.
That's right. However,
is that the phrase? I think so.
They were doing it, a lot of them, and they were like, I'm caring about being able to line my pockets a little bit for my family down the road. I get it. But what if you can have both, right? If you can have a nice pay for what you do and also feel good. And so that's why I look at all those companies and I said, how much attrition was there, right? And we talked about this. One company, for every 100 people they were hiring, 80 people were going out the back door because they were getting hired by other people. The other company, they hired 1,800 people and 800 and something people left, and there was so much attrition. And we looked at our company and we had 96% retention, right? 4% left.
That's pretty good.
Or no, 6% left.
6, yeah.
Yeah, 94% stayed. And it was because people are happy. And
well, you got we were awarded the Orange County one of the best places to work, top places to work.
Exactly.
Voted on by our employees. They feel appreciated. They feel valued and heard and respected. And there is something about, you say this a lot, that kindness is our currency. You can be paid a big paycheck, but if you're working in a miserable workplace, that can take away from your lifespan, your soul, your
Right.
life experience. And maybe you're not making top pay, or sometimes,
but it's a career.
It's not all about,
right. So a lot of people, I mean, if you're out there and you say, what is important to you, right? Money. Okay. Because money gets you to do other things.
and it pays the bills.
I get it. Now, what about the fact that if you're working for more time almost than you spend with your family, then I would think you'd want to be happy. And if you can be happy, then you got the trifecta. You're happy, you're making money, and you're able to influence and be
Work-life balance.
a good part of your life, right? Well, that's why we've had people that have been with us since, 20, 30 years. And that's important, And I remember it's funny because I told this story. I've been writing a book, folks, believe it or not.
He's writing a book,
And
putting all this good stuff in writing.
Oh my gosh,
it's a process.
It's been fun and painful at the same time.
Okay, we're going to add to your intro, author.
Exactly.
Doctor, author, outlier.
But I was talking about this one time that I'll give you a little bit more of the story than you probably want to hear. But I went to New York right after 9/11. I was by myself. I was a single guy. And I went there. I took my kids and I said, for all the lemonade you sell, I'm going to double it and take it to New York. It was more about the kids selling the neighborhood. They had a lemonade for New York stand.
AID, that's cute.
Yes. And so they made some money. I went and doubled it and took it to New York. And right after, the buildings were still smoking and everything. I bought the hats, the gloves, and I wanted to lift rocks. I wanted to help. And I didn't realize that the
perimeter
armed guards would,
police?
What's it called?
National Guard?
National Guard would put a big fence around the whole thing. I thought people could come and help just move. And it makes sense, but I wasn't thinking. Yeah. So I get there, but when I flew up there, when I flew to Maryland, and I took this train called the Excelsior train or something like that. It's like a bullet train to New York from D.C. And went up there, realized I couldn't really help, did my thing with the community and gave all the stuff away and all that good stuff. And then I left. And on my way home, I got back on that train. And I was almost in the end of the cart where there was one seat in the corner, and then there was a table where someone could sit here looking at me and I'd sit here. So I was sitting right here. And then there was a guy that could sit in front of me and then the corner. Well, this beautiful girl comes in. Again, I'm single. And she sits in the corner. And I'm like, maybe she should sit right here. We could talk. But I didn't have the nerve, right? And I'm thinking maybe I should ask her. And then she stood up and goes, I can't sit in the corner. And I went, oh, but I just didn't have the nerve. And she walks by me and I'm thinking, I should ask. And then here comes this old man and an old woman. I'm like, don't sit here. Don't sit here. Like, don't sit here. And what happens? He sits his wife in the corner and he sits right in front of me. I'm like, no, now I've got to sit with this guy.
You could have given your seat up to have her sit down.
Well, I was,
You were young and
dumb. I wasn't that young, yeah. Well, just dumb.
Dumb.
So I'm thinking about the girls still, right?
Yeah, of course, that's your
and
you're not thinking chivalry in that moment.
No, and I thought, like, of all my luck, and so as I sat there, I saw him and his ring he had, it said something basketball, and I thought, I said, so you like basketball? Because now I have to talk to them, right? And he says, I guess you could say that. He says, I own the team. He says, I'm Abe Poland, and I own the Washington Bullets at the time, and he owned the Washington Capitals, the hockey team and the basketball team. I mean, I sat there for 2 hours and had to pick this man's brain. I mean, it was a most amazing couple hours. And we talked about everything he talked about loyalty and having people that he had forever that worked for him. And just, the power of making your employees your family. And it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful conversation. And I remember that day so well because he says Michael Jordan was working for him in the basketball, and he says he's going to now announce that he's not only the coach, but he's the player or player coach or whatever it was that day. So whatever that day was. And
he's riding the train with you?
Riding the train with me. This is a kind of a high-end train.
Oh, I was going to say.
So the last part, which I thought was really cool, because he says to me, when you build something, build it to be the best. Don't cut corners. He says, you want something that's going to last, and then don't sell it. Hold on to it, right? Just keep it. He says, the Irene? I said, yes, sir, I do. That was one of the biggest apartment complexes in Washington, D.C., made with marble, and it was a beautiful one. He said, I built that in 1964 or something like that. I remember.
Whatever.
Yeah, and he says, this was the best. And I said, yes, sir, it still is to this day. He says, that's right. He goes, you want to know why I named it the Irene? He goes, hey, Irene, come up here and meet this kid. Irene was his wife.
Aww.
But just to sit, and the point of the story is sometimes we think we lose something that is valuable. And here we are in front of us can be something. So I would have paid gazillion dollars just to sit and pick this man's brain. It was wonderful, right? And I wouldn't, and even seen it coming as I watched them walk through the door, So
You said something though, what he said, and you didn't take his advice.
What's
he
that?
said, if you love something, you build the best, and never sell it and hold on to it.
Thank you very much. Sometimes something like that can get in your way, like health problems.
Mm-hmm.
I happen, as you know, run into a little health problem, and my mind went a little south where I thought, all right, I want to spend time with my family. And yeah, we sold our mortgage company, went around the world, had some fun.
Couple years.
And regretted the hell out of selling that company.
Yeah.
What happened to it was not what we would have done. You get new owners, they have new ideas, and that's okay. They have every right to. They pay you a lot of money, and paid us a lot of money. But that's why we're doing it again, because we know we can do it the way we want to do it now, and it's so much more fulfilling because we have the history of understanding that maybe we have a way of doing things that we feel works better.
You've got 30 years of business acumen and experience, which is so invaluable. And most people don't start out with that, but maybe those that are starting can learn from you that, you did it. You followed the money. There was a time when you focused on there was a different focus. There was a different prize in your mind. And now you go
I never followed the money.
Well, let me say, you say you regretted selling it.
Okay, I followed that money because I wanted out.
That's what I'm saying. There was a time when you go, I don't think you weren't doing it for the money as much as you were like, I'm ready to make a shift. Right. I remember you saying the reason I want to do this, I know they've got deeper pockets than I do, and they can take this company to another level.
Right.
You really were looking out and hoping for the best for the company.
That's why you stayed aligned.
That's why you stayed in as a big percentage owner.
They wanted to buy a certain percent, and I said, no, I want you to sell you less.
Right.
I was more interested in being aligned with them, right? But I thought then they would also be able to mind the store,
right?
Because what if I was gone, right? What if things didn't work out right? So I liked the idea of having them in there and having a bigger chunk than me, because then they were more, looking over my shoulder, or they were the ones that controlled everything. I like that idea. Looking back, it didn't work out the way I would like to have seen it work out.
But now you can take 30 years of this accumulated knowledge, business, lessons, principles, philosophy, everything you've done, knowing it, you leave and you have the opportunity to come back. And this time you said, I am going to create the culture that I believe is important. So you look at someone who's maybe starting out, and maybe they think they gotta be hard, they gotta grind, they gotta push, they gotta be, some people just feel like, to show that I'm powerful, I got to put other people's down and be an a-hole. Like, there's a lot of people out there that feel like treating people on the way up poorly is okay. Like, oh, that's what big business guys do. That's what powerful, successful tycoons do, or, and that's a misnomer.
But it's so the second time around, knowing that we know how to do it, knowing we will be able to scale again. Now, to me, it's all about authenticity, right? It's all about being very comfortable in who we are, what we do, and knowing that there's a lot of great people out there that believe us, that know us, and want to come on board. So now, that is funny that you say, because everything to me now is about that culture, because I already know they're the best. So I know they're going to do the great job, right? Because I know who's great in this industry. Let's keep attracting them, keep them coming. Everybody was so busy, and now a lot more are coming over. And so all I want to do is make sure that they remain happy and that they are paid well, and then all that rest falls into place. But the first guy starting out, a guy that is new, he doesn't get the luxury of being able to attract the best. And so it's harder. So you end up in a place where you're going, okay, I think I got good people, right? So what I would do differently than I did last time is focus more on the culture earlier, right? What I did before, I didn't even know about culture.
That wasn't a word really that was...
I don't even know.
Business was business. I think culture was a secondary idea at the time.
Yeah, we were just out there trying to survive, and then trying.
And you almost didn't even realize there was a culture until it changed. You were just doing what you did.
Well, but I mean, in the very beginning, let's take somebody. If people are out there and they're going, I don't have time for culture. I'm just trying to get work in the door, right? So, I get it, right? You don't have time to make a formal culture plan, okay? But how are you with people? Do you see them after work? Do you go to their birthdays or bat mitzvahs or weddings? And all that is important, right? And so if you just cut people off, they come in just from their time and you use them for that time and they're gone, I think that if you want a long-term company to grow, that's the bad strategy. Who came in my office a couple of days ago? Rudy Mayorga. Okay?
I love that.
Yeah,
and he's been with you since the beginning.
He came in his police uniform.
I love this picture. He looks so good.
The people were so afraid at front. What has Glenn done? He's got two cops up here, and
there were two. He and his partner came in.
Yeah, they both came in, and and what people don't know is, Maria and Gonzalo Mayorga were clients of mine in 1988, I did their loans. Maria had her father, who was a whatever you call a Mexican cowboy,
Gaucho.
He had the dirty jeans and the boots and the cowboy hat, and he'd come in and he would sit with he had about 20 different people that he gave loans to, little farm loans out there. And I would every month, how much did you give him? $122. Okay. So we would amortize off $122 out of the 20, whatever, right? So every month he would get to know how much these people owed him. And so his whole family would come in. Maria had 7 boys. Okay. And so I did loans. Now you got to think that was over 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. They've been to our weddings. We've been to poor funeral, Mr.
Parties, celebrations, birthdays.
We've been to everything together, right? Mm-hmm. Their family. And so if people are out there and they're new and they're starting their business, it isn't just 9 to 5.
It's relationships.
You need to live it, right? When you live it, then it expands, and that is a culture, whether you want to formally call it or not. I didn't know it. I just knew that I really cared about these people. We have had them in our lives since they come in, and it's important to be able to maintain that authenticity, right?
Is kindness a choice, or do you think you are kind or you're not?
I think I look at some people that have run businesses that run them like it's a war. And they like that, right? It's a strategy.
They're competitors.
Yeah,
they're warriors.
Look, we're going to go out and we're going to take this hill and we're going to conquer this team and we're going to, it's kill or be killed. And what happens, take a sales force. When we were out there, I became friends with all the owners. Mm-hmm. A team wanted to leave, something happened. Hey, Glenn, you have an underwriter that's looking to leave. And I don't want to take them because they're yours. But, and I'd go to the underwriter, hey, is something going on? I didn't feel I was getting paid enough, and I didn't want to ask. Ask me, you know what I mean? But, whatever, and then we'd work it out. But if you go and you take another team and you try to take them and you offer them more money and all stuff, then what happens? Then they go, I want to take Glenn's team. And when we left, when we quit, it became more of a strategic war again, and then everyone declared war on our company, and they and all you got then, we lost 6 people out of over 1,800 people we had in a year. 6.
And
right?
Then things changed,
and then we ballooned up to 3,000 people. That's nice after we had sold. So that worked. But they lost over 38% of their people were leaving every year. They had over 1,000 people leaving.
Jeez.
So you end up in a place where you go, okay, you're going to spend how much on training and retraining and onboarding and offboarding,
flying in and out and hotels, and
all the crazy stuff, millions of dollars on that. So it wasn't. And what happened? Oh, we made more money when we were smaller than we did when we were bigger. Mm-hmm. So you've got to really look at, like, why are you wanting to do all this work if you're really out now? You've declared a war. And that sounds great, and everybody, we're all in this together. No, why don't we live and work in a happy environment and have respect for other teams across the way and everybody else, and we are all in it together, and then you end up in I think a simpler life, I think a better life. And that goes for anybody out there trying to start or run or have their own business. Do you want to declare war with people, or do you want to collaborate with people? You figure it out.
You also said something once. You said, do not mistake kindness for weakness.
No, I mean, again, we go out there, we're kind lending. Okay. But I've said, yes, do not mistake kindness for weakness. We're not out here to get run over. We're out here to be nice. But, I didn't get to where I am by being naive by being a pushover. I can, and as a young man, I was somewhat of a scrappy kid, and I can go back to that. But I don't choose to live my life that way, but I'll stand back up and do what I need to do if it gets rough out there. So, it's a lot of people think that just means you can be a big pushover, and it's so untrue, obviously. So, and people know that. People that are in our business who know us know we have the ability to, to stand up for ourselves when needed.
Well, I think what's also important if anyone is starting a company or building their empire, if you will, that employee happiness is a very important aspect of business, and that cannot be overlooked. And you talk about that so much. And happy employees cut down, like you said, on turnover, on stress, and there's so much stress in the workplace. And you really, like, Glenn, we talked when we were first founding Kind Lending. You said, I want you to be the chief kindness officer. And that was something that you said, I think that's who you are. I mean, that's how I've been. That's kind of been my,
that's you
that's easy for me.
I just say one thing quickly on that. And the reason I wanted you to be there is you have been authentic your whole life. Like I would watch you on the news when I would stand there at some red carpet and you see people go, like they're there and then they go, hi, everybody, this is Mary from channel 28 and I'm here, and they're all happy, and then the camera goes off. They go back to this.
Or they're yelling at their producers or whatever.
And you were always this happy person, and the light would come on, you talk, and then the light would go off, and you'd stay happy, and everybody knew that, and it was like real. And so
I have to say, which is funny, maybe you remember this, when we did the show Gilligan's Island, and the real Gilligan's Island was a game show competition, much like Survivor.
15 years ago.
And that was when we were a year after we were married, right? And you said to me at the end, you're like, your strategy, you're being nice. That's your strategy. I'm like, it's not my strategy. And then years later, you're like, that's just who you are. It's not a strategy. That's just who you are. You're naturally that way. Like, it was kind of an aha for you, because
when we were in the middle of it, I was pissed because it's like, all you are, no, you were just being nice, but you weren't playing the game.
Wasn't playing.
It's like you had no strategy. And I'm like every minute thinking strategy. Like I'm,
Remember that clip when I just was trying to get a little Em? You're like, okay, we do this and get this in alliance. And I'm like, oh my God, it's just strategy all the time.
Right. I mean, I had to think it through. I carried us.
Yeah, you did. Me? Thank you.
Yes.
And I came in second.
I won. So, but anyway, back, where were we? So when it came to putting you in, it was, now that we've been married, 18 years, it became very apparent to me, and starting this new company. And I said all along, never work with your spouse.
Yeah, he
Don't
made a
do
big
it.
proclamation about that.
I'll never do that.
I think you actually said that in, was it Undercover Billionaire Comeback City? There's actually, in the new one.
They cut that out.
No, they didn't. It was in there. Remember?
No, they cut out the part that I probably said, but.
Oh, they cut out the but. Yeah. And then the next clip is me.
Yeah. I told myself I would never work with my wife. It is a no for me, because you got to bring that home, right? So my advice to other people that work with their spouses is first to have the sit down and say, listen, you need to be an employee when you're on the clock, and then we can go do our lovey-lovey thing or our scream and yell thing when we're not working. Exactly.
Yeah. Which you can catch on Discovery Plus, streaming right now, Undercover Billionaire Comeback City. It's a great, great series on Glenn going back to Erie, where he was undercover before, to businesses that knew him now. And he takes 6 businesses and helps them in a 27-day turnaround. They're kind of post-COVID. They've all been hit hard with COVID. It's very inspiring. Yep. Just had somebody approach us at the dog park yesterday who loves it. And it'll be on the regular Discovery in May. I think it reappears. Yes.
Yes.
So do not miss. You will love it. It's so good. It's so inspiring, and it is really a great.
So, but anyway, so we then I said, I really want you to come to work. Yeah. Never say never. I want you to come to work and be the chief happiness officer, chief kindness officer. Again, I didn't like you calling yourself the chief ho, so we changed it. But I wanted you to come in and be yourself, because, and you were at first, if I may be real for a second, you said, what kind of job can I do? I mean, I don't get it. I said, trust me. I said, what we want to do is touch these people and make sure they understand how much we care, and keep touching them and keep getting them and becoming a virtual water cooler.
Touching them.
No, but touching them.
I can touch my boss, though.
Touch their heart and touch their minds, and let them know that we're there and we care. And
well, that is it. That's the culture we created. And if you and I highly recommend, if you are in a company, that you do employ a chief kindness, chief people person, chief culture officer, whatever you want to call it. So when we hire new employees, I reach out, and you and I both reach out, and we call everybody individually to say, welcome, here's my phone number. Is there anything, if you ever need it, they all have our cell phone. If there's anything they need, and it's so fun for me to get to know people and hear their stories. And I have a survey I created so I can get to know everybody and get more personal information that's more fun about introducing them. We remember birthdays, remember anniversaries. We celebrate victories, babies born, and, even tragedies. We reach out and we keep in touch with our employees.
People like, gosh, we had Delfino that, oh my God, my birthday's coming. I bet she's going to do something with Filo Guevara or whatever.
Sofia Vergara, that's Delfino's favorite actress.
And you're like, Delfino, hello, how are you?
You're my favorite, Delfino. You're the best in the world. I love you so much. Oh, you're so nice, Delfino.
But like everybody now, they're like
try
going,
my best Sofia Vergara impersonation.
What is she going to do, right? And so people, I mean, again, it's just little tiny things, and that's what moves the needle. It's always been about the little things. And when you look at, people that just think big picture, which I do usually, you have to find people that can come in and just tighten up and make it so that it's real. And so you do a lot of that. And
you've always said this, you believe in servant leadership, which I think a lot of companies would benefit in adopting the mindset that you really become.
Well, we work for your employee.
Your employees are your most invaluable asset in your company, because without them, you have nothing. Forget profits and losses and bottom line. That's important. I know at the end of the day, a business is a business, but without your most important asset, your employees and happy employees, none of that matters. And that doesn't come. So that's the most important thing to nurture. Obviously, good employees, nurturing, respecting, appreciating, but also, they're there to make a living, and then it begets one another. So anyway, well, we've had a nice long conversation here about positivity. I'm positive we've almost gone an hour. So if you anything else you'd like to weigh in on the power of positivity? Now, there's some great books out there. I have someone sent me a great book. Her name is Rachel Cole, and she sent me this book called Choose Happiness. And I think it's such a great title. I've interviewed Rob Mack of the Happiness from Inside Out book. We've also had YPO with the Happiness Project with Sean Achor. And there are a lot of really good resources for mindset and attitude in any way of living. And it never hurts to continue to fill yourself with that kind of knowledge and information, and listen to incredible podcasts like Grit Happens, and my podcast, Friends Some and Then Some, which celebrates friendships and midlife and other things like that. But I think what we're doing, I think is really creating an exciting movement towards positivity, towards kindness, and we're having fun.
That's right. We're enjoying it.
We're having a lot of fun, and I feel like our employees are too, because the feedback I get is that it's working and they are happy.
That's right.
And if you're not, you call us on the cell phone and tell us how we can make things work for you, because I think any management should never close the door. They need to be open to hear the employees, to hear what people have to say, because you can get some really good ideas from the people that are working with you. And I think that's an important aspect.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and Twitter, at Glenn Stearns, at Glenn B. Stearns, and GlennStearns.com, and Grit Happen. We got it all over the place.
There you go.
So please join us. Thank you for listening
today.
You. And join us every Thursday for a new episode, 2 p.m. live.
Right.
And here we are, Glenn and Mindy Stearns signing off for
Grit Happens. Hey. Thank you, dear.
Thank you, dear. Welcome to Grit Happens. I'm Mindy Stearns. Well, to know him is to love him. He's a CEO, an entrepreneur, an outlier, overcomer, storyteller, visionary, victor, mentor, doctor, father, brother, underdog. I know you love that doctor part. And he's my husband. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Stearns, and you are listening to Grit Happens.
Hey. You still have to read that, huh? You don't have it memorized all these times.
No, I do have to read it. I've had so many other things going on. I can't remember all your titles.
That is
God.
just embarrassing. My own
Okay,
wife.
tell me if you can say it. All right, go ahead. Run it down.
I am a mentor, a doctor,
1, 2,
a father,
okay,
a brother,
okay.
a lover.
Oh, geez, I didn't put that in there. Sorry.
Oh,
Well, okay, welcome to another installment of Grit Happens. You know, oftentimes we have guests in here in studio. We talk about stories of grit and overcoming grit and how grit has helped people persevere through life and, you know, just the stories of success and how one navigates that landscape. And we thought we'd just the two of us today talk about something else I thought that is which we're trying to create in a new workspace.
What's that?
Is positivity in the workplace.
Oh, that's a new one on you?
Yeah. Well, no, it's not on me. It's you find Kind Lending is our company.
I'm joking, dear.
Yes, I know. Look at you. You're so cute.
I'm joking.
So, you know, it's a world where we've been through a year of real angst, I think, and it's been also a very divisive year, and it's been a year of a lot of hostility and sad things happening, and you know, things in the news and local and
you will find what you want to.
You will find what you're looking for, really.
Right. Exactly.
And if you go to the news and you're looking for the worst
There's
news
been
of the day,
a lot of positivity. There's been a lot of happiness. There's been a lot of great things. Think about all the families that have come together. Think about all the time we've been able to spend together that we normally wouldn't spend together. Think about being able to take a break from going and traveling all the time and all the crazy things that keep us from our families.
I've actually really, really enjoyed.
I know you have.
Not packing.
Exactly. No, it's a
I've enjoyed this year.
Time to just realize that some of these other things we've done are just not that important. And so, you know, I've gotten, you know, again, we can't knock the fact that there have been so many people that have been out of work and all the terrible things that have happened to people.
Yeah.
But you got to choose, you know, where do you want to sit? You want to sit in, you know, in a place of despair. You want to sit in a place of positivity,
optimism. You've always been a pretty positive person. You know, it's not saying that you don't get down on things and you don't get frustrated and angry, but you really find yourself back to a place of optimistic outlook. And I think it's interesting. Your sister actually accused you when she was young, and you guys had a little row about that. Explain that.
She said that I could not be as positive as I come across, that I must be faking it because nobody can live in a world that's always up here. And I explained to her, I said, you know what, that's interesting you would say that. I said, how do you feel about people that have clinically had some kind of, you know, trauma chemical imbalance in their life, and they are depressed and they're always down here? She goes, well, that's obvious. I mean, there's, you know, clinical scientific proof that people can be imbalanced and they can live their life down here. I said, well, maybe I'm clinically and chemically imbalanced and I just happen to live up here. I said, I'll take it, right? I mean, I don't know why that my life seems to be a place full of a lot of joy all the time, but I'm not going to sit and try to rip it apart and figure it out why it goes that way. So she thought about that one for a while, and I think she understood.
Can you be chemically imbalanced to be happy? Like there are chemical imbalances, depression, but can you be chemically imbalanced to be joyful? Is it a choice?
I might have been not joking, but making a point to her, because a lot of it, I think, no matter what, is your attitude, and it is, you know, a place that you need to figure out on your own, where do you want to sit. And what I mean is, if you sit in, and sometimes you'll do this, and I don't mean, I'm not knocking, because you're a very happy person.
I lament a lot.
Yeah, you'll sit, and if there's a sad subject, you will like keep reading it, and I'll say, why do you want to keep staying sad over this? Just stop getting it in your brain, because it's only making you sad. When you see some poor family that gets in a car wreck or whatever, you'll just like read it over and over and over again.
I think maybe there's this draw as an empathetic person who goes deep into the pain that other people are feeling. And I really like walk in that space and want to really feel how they feel. And I do go deep into that. And sometimes I don't know. I guess I like it there because it makes me feel alive. It makes me feel like a human. It
Yeah,
makes
makes
me feel
sense.
like I'm caring for
I
others.
get it. I get it. And I absolutely love to get inside of someone else's head to understand their perception of the world, right? Because then I can deal with it better on why they react and why they act the way they do. I don't want to wallow in their pain.
Right.
You know, I don't want to wallow in my own pain. So